It is always the fact that through the love of God, His tremendous and enduring love for us, He trusts us in so many ways, if not in all ways. He sees goodness in our hearts, even in our wickedness and sinfulness, and He made us to be partakers of His own glory. And not only that, God has entrusted us with bountiful gifts so that we can find Him, we can search Him, and we can know Him in all the good things that God has entrusted to us. And somehow, this is what the parable of our gospel today tries to highlight. That first we know of who God is, the owner of the vineyard, who provided everything in the vineyard, put a hedge, dug a wine press, and built a tower. There's nothing that this vineyard is lacking. And He entrusted this vineyard to tenants. And time came that the owner, wants to gather the produce of and the yield of the vineyard, and yet there was this kind of atrocities. There was a kind of rejection. There was a kind of a brutality. As we are told in the gospel, that the tenant farmers killed the servants, beat the servants, and somehow they left them empty-handed. But somehow there is also another angle in which we can know of from the gospel story of today, not only of who God is in the figure of the owner of the vineyard, but as well as to the attitude of the tenants. It could be that we can associate ourselves with, in which there is also the kind of resistance. There is also a kind of knowing that we are entitled, that we are not just tenants, but we become owners. And here the Lord wants us to realize that this should not be so. As the Lord trusts us with everything, part of our being tenants is to grow and to nourish in love. It is in our love that we know who is the real owner. It is also in our love that we come to know our responsibilities as tenants. That we are not the owners, but we are only been entrusted with good things. We are somehow called by God to be stewards, caretakers, curare, curators, but never owners. And this, somehow, the love that in our hearts would always remind us this fundamental realities of who we are before God, who we are in the context of our relationship with God, that the Lord trusts us so much and entrusted us with a lot of things. And it is out of love that we have to be responsible. It is out of love that we come to be good stewards and never owners. And we have to share the bounty, to share the fruits of the yield, not just for our own good and benefit, but for the community of believers. And this is what the Lord wants us to inculcate in our hearts. This parable in today's gospel is a good reminder for all of us that after all, God has provided us all things, all good things, that we are called to be stewards, to be tenants. And yet out of love, we have to give what is due to God and to share the fruits to others so that they may come to encounter the generosity of God in their lives. Amen.